Welcome to the dsm-firmenich Mycotoxin Survey. My name is Anneliese Müller and I'm a technical expert for mycotoxins. In this short video, I want to focus on the mycotoxin levels in different soybean from big producing and exporting countries. So let's dive into the topic. First, I want to have a look at soy from Argentina in the last year, so January to December 2024. You can see in the table the 6 main mycotoxins tested. Always the number of samples analyzed, the percentage of positive samples, which you can also see here in the left corner, the average levels in ppb, the median and the maximum levels found. We can see that cerealenone is the most frequently found mycotoxin in 77% of the samples, with increased levels of 113 ppb on average and a maximum of over 500 ppb. We can see that DON is highly frequent. We can see that aflatoxin is very frequent in 42% of the samples, although the average levels are rather moderate. And we can see that also T2 toxin is quite frequent, so multiple mycotoxins occur. And if we look at all the samples that have been analyzed for more than one mycotoxin, we can see that 53% contain more than one mycotoxin, so there is a quite high co-occurrence in these samples. If we now move to Brazil, we can see that a bit less samples have been tested, 123. We can see that the abundance is lower than in the Argentinian samples. We find in 38% of the samples cerealenone, in 19% fumonisins, and in 14% aflatoxins. The concentrations of SEN are a bit increased with 90 ppb on average and a maximum of over 960 ppb. And we can see that deoxynivalenol, although it's not frequent, the levels found are quite high with 650 ppb and a maximum of over 2000 ppb. Moving on to the US, over 50 samples have been analyzed. We can see that the average of positives levels are moderate for the detected mycotoxins. We can see that cerealenone is again most frequent with 40% of the samples, followed by fumonisins and some occurrence A. Also in those samples, the co-occurrence is not high. When we look now at samples from India, almost 150 samples have been analyzed. Interestingly, those samples show a different pattern. We see in almost all samples occurrence A, which is often coming from problems during the storage and humid conditions. We can see the average of positives levels with 15 ppb. We can see that T2 toxin is the secondly most prevalent mycotoxin, followed by SEN and AFLA also in every third sample, with an a bit increased average of positives of 5 ppb and a maximum of 35 ppb. What is important here is that we see 92% of those samples over one mycotoxin has been found, so the co-occurrence is really high. China shows a bit similar picture. Cerealenone is more frequent in those samples, but also occurrence A is highly abundant. Also deoxynivalenol, T2 toxin and fumonisins are found. The levels of cerealenone and of deoxynivalenol are slightly decreased, and we see a co-contamination of 54%. So 54% of the samples contain more than one mycotoxin. So this was a short overview of the different mycotoxin levels in soy. We can see that the most moderate contamination is from the samples in US. We can see that the samples in India and China, they have a high abundance of OTA and also other mycotoxins and a high co-occurrence of mycotoxins. And we can see that in many soybeans, cerealenone is frequently found, but also AFLA should be checked and other of the main mycotoxins. With this, I want to thank you for your attention. To find out more about the World Mycotoxin Survey, please visit our website.